My parents told me I was unwelcome at Easter and to stay away, so I did, along with the $5,000 monthly loan they depended on. Our family grows with your support. Hit subscribe and drop a quick comment sharing your location. It makes this journey even more special. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was reviewing quarterly reports. My mother's voice cut through my speaker like broken glass. "Kiara, we need to discuss Easter." I should have known something was wrong. Mom never called during business hours. As a senior financial analyst at Henderson and Drake, my schedule was predictable, regimented. She knew this. "What about it, Mom?" I leaned back in my leather chair, watching Atlanta's skyline through my office window. "Well," she hesitated, and I heard my father's voice rumbling in the background. "Your brother Edwin is bringing Shanice and the kids. You know how cramped the house gets." My stomach tightened. "Okay. And your Aunt Beverly's coming with her new husband. Plus, your cousins from Jacksonville." She trailed off, letting silence do the heavy lifting. "Mom, just say it. We think it's best if you sit this one out, honey. Just this year. There's just not enough space, and you know how you and Edwin get." How we get. My brother hadn't spoken to me in 8 months. Not since I refused to co-sign his third failed business loan. Not since I stopped enabling his delusions of entrepreneurship while he mooched off our parents. "You're uninviting me from Easter?" My voice stayed level, professional. Years of corporate negotiations taught me not to show weakness. "Don't be dramatic, Kiara. We're just saying maybe it's better." "I heard you clearly." I disconnected, my hand trembling slightly as I set down the phone. Through my window, the city sprawled beneath me. A city I'd conquered through sheer determination. A city where I'd built everything myself. But apparently, I wasn't welcome at my childhood home for Easter dinner. The irony would hit me later when I checked my bank statements and saw the recurring transfer. $5,000. Every single month. For 3 years running. I didn't cry. I don't cry at work. Instead, I opened my banking app and stared at the transaction history, scrolling through 36 months of deposits to my parents' account. It started small. 3 years ago, Dad's hours at the warehouse got cut. Mom's bakery was struggling. I'd just gotten my promotion, my salary jumping from $65,000 to $92,000 annually. When Dad called, voice thick with shame, asking for a couple hundred to hold us over, I sent $2,000. "Pay it back whenever," I'd said, knowing he never would. The next month, another call. Mom's car needed transmission work. "Just $500, baby. We'll pay you back with interest." It became our rhythm. A crisis every month. The water heater. Property taxes. Edwin's child support when he came up short. Medical bills. That amazing investment opportunity that disappeared like smoke. I never called it what it was. The word loan made us all feel better, preserved some dignity. Dad kept a ledger in his kitchen, writing down every dollar. The running total now read $183,000. Not one payment back. Not ever. "Ms. Washington?" My assistant Jasmine knocked softly. "Your 3 o'clock is here. Give me 5 minutes." I closed the app and opened my makeup compact, checking for damage. My reflection showed a 32-year-old woman in a tailored navy suit, natural hair pulled into a sleek bun. I looked successful. Composed. I looked nothing like the girl who'd grown up in a cramped Decatur apartment, sharing a bedroom with Edwin until I was 16. That girl would have accepted the dismissal. Would have apologized for existing, for taking up space. But I wasn't her anymore. I stood, smoothed my skirt, and walked into my meeting with a smile. The real reckoning would come later. The family group chat exploded that evening. I was adding butter to my pasta when my phone started buzzing like an angry hornet. "Edwin, yo everybody. Easter at the folks' house." Mom's making her famous honey ham. Cousin Tasha, yes. I'm bringing my potato salad. Aunt Beverly, can't wait to see everyone. Michael and I will bring wine. I watched message after message populate. 37 members in the chat. Everyone confirming. Everyone excited. No one mentioned me. I typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on simplicity. Me sounds great. Have fun, everyone. The chat went silent. I could practically feel the collective intake of breath. Mom, Kiara, honey, you understand, right? Me, completely. I understand perfectly. Edwin, don't start with the drama, Key. It's just one holiday. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I wanted to unleash everything. The years of covering his mistakes, the money, the constant cleanup duty. But my therapist, Dr. Potts's voice echoed. React from clarity, not emotion. Me, no drama. Enjoy your Easter. I muted the chat and opened my banking app again. The monthly transfer to my parents was scheduled for Friday. 2 days away. $5,000 automatic as breathing. My apartment suddenly felt too quiet. I'd moved here 6 months ago. A luxury high-rise in Buckhead, floor-to-ceiling windows, granite everything. I'd invited my parents to my housewarming. They'd stayed 20 minutes, Mom commenting that it was awfully far from the neighborhood. Translation, you think you're better than us now. I wasn't better. I was just tired. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Shayla. Girl, I saw the group chat. You okay? I stared at her message, then at my reflection in the darkened window. Was I? Friday morning, I woke at 5:30, same as always. Gym by 6, office by 8:15. Routine kept me grounded. But today felt different. The automatic transfer loomed like a deadline. At my desk, coffee steaming, I pulled up my conversation history with Dad. 3 years of increasingly desperate texts. November 2021. Baby girl, hate to ask, but the furnace died. $1,200. March 2022. Kiara, your mother's crying. They're threatening to shut off the water. Can you help? July 2023. Edwin needs $3,000 for his kids' school supplies. You know how it is. That last one made me laugh bitterly. School supplies? Edwin's oldest was in kindergarten. I'd later seen his Instagram story from Topgolf, bottle service and everything. You're enabling them. Dr. Potts had said this during our session last month. What happens if you stop? They'll hate me, I'd answered immediately. They'll have to adjust. That's not the same as hate. I'd nodded, then sent another $5,000 on schedule. Now staring at the pending transfer, I thought about Easter. About being uninvited from my own family. About Edwin's smug face when he announced the dinner I wasn't attending. My phone rang. That, hey sweetheart. Just calling to say thank you for this month's help. You're a lifesaver. Dad, we need to talk. Sure. But quick. I'm meeting a guy about some work on the deck. Your mother wants it finished before Easter, you know, for the party. He caught himself. For the gathering. The party I wasn't invited to. Being funded by my money. Dad, I'm canceling the transfer. Silence stretched like taffy. What? I'm canceling it. All of it. Baby, if this is about Easter. It's about respect. I hung up, hands shaking, and deleted the recurring payment. The calls started immediately. Dad first, then Mom, then Dad again. I let them go to voicemail, each one progressively more frantic. Kiara Monique Washington, you pick up this phone right now. Baby, please, we can talk about this. Your father didn't mean. You're really going to do this? Over one holiday. I was in a meeting with a client when Edwin's name flashed across my screen for the 10th time. I excused myself to the restroom and finally answered. Are you out of your goddamn mind? He shouted before I could speak. Mom's having a panic attack. Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. Lower your voice, Edwin. Don't tell me what to do. You're really cutting them off over Easter? That's cold. That's really cold. I'm not cutting anyone off. I'm stopping the monthly payments. Same thing. They need that money. For what? The deck renovation for the party I'm not invited to? My voice stayed level cold. The new patio furniture? The upgraded cable package. They're struggling. No, Edwin. They're subsidizing a lifestyle they can't afford. There's a difference. So what, you're just going to let them lose the house? I paused, my reflection staring back from the bathroom mirror. The house is paid off, Edwin. Has been for 5 years. I know because I checked the county records yesterday. Silence. They told me they were 3 months behind on the mortgage, he finally said, voice smaller. They lied. To both of us. More silence. Then, you've always thought you were better than us. Since you got that fancy job, that fancy apartment. I'm the one who's been paying for their lifestyle while being treated like an inconvenience. But go off. I hung up and blocked his number. My hands were steady now. Clear. When I returned to the conference room, I closed the deal worth $47,000 in commissions. Best meeting I'd had all month. That weekend, I did something I hadn't done in years. I turned off my phone completely and drove to Savannah. Shayla met me at our favorite brunch spot on River Street. Mimosas already ordered. Girl, your family is losing their minds, she said, sliding a Bloody Mary across the table. Your mama called my mama. What did she say? That you've abandoned them in their time of need, and money changed you. Shayla rolled her eyes. My mama asked what money you supposedly took. Things got quiet real quick. I laughed, the sound surprising me. I didn't take anything. I stopped giving. And they can't tell the difference. Shayla clinked her glass against mine. Proud of you, Ki. Been waiting for this moment. You have. Since sophomore year of college, when you sent your grocery money home and lived on ramen for 3 weeks. You've been setting yourself on fire to keep them warm your whole life. I thought about that. About every sacrifice repackaged as family obligation. The full ride to Spelman I'd deferred for a year to work and send money home when Dad got laid off. The car I'd driven into the ground while helping with Edwin's child support. The vacations I'd never taken, the clothes I'd never bought. I kept thinking if I just gave enough, I'd finally be valuable to them, I admitted. Baby, you were always valuable. They just found it easier to take than to appreciate. My phone, tucked in my purse, stayed silent. I'd left it off since Friday evening. Somewhere in Atlanta, my family was probably in crisis mode. Here, watching boats drift past on the Savannah River, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. So what now? Shayla asked. Now. I live my life. And Easter. I smiled. I'm thinking Turks and Caicos. Now that's what I'm talking about. Monday morning hit different. I powered on my phone to find 83 missed calls, 47 texts, and 12 voicemails. But there was something else. A Facebook notification. Aunt Beverly had tagged me in a post. My stomach dropped as I opened it. Praying for family restoration. Sometimes our children forget where they came from and who sacrificed for them. Money isn't everything. Family is. Hashtag prayer warriors, hashtag family first. 347 reactions. Comments flooded in from relatives I barely knew, neighbors from childhood, people from mom's church. That's what happens when they get a little money. Parents sacrifice everything and this is the thanks they get? Pride comes before the fall. She'll learn. I scrolled through, numbness spreading through my chest. They were painting me as the villain. The ungrateful daughter who got successful and abandoned her struggling parents. Then I saw Edwin's comment. Real talk. Some people forget where home is until they need something. SMH. 62 likes. Something inside me shifted. I'd stayed quiet, taken the high road, remained dignified. And they'd used my silence to craft their narrative. I took a screenshot of my banking history. 3 years. $183,000. Every transaction labeled family support. Then I opened a notes app and started typing. Not angry, not emotional. Just facts. Dates, amounts, conversations. The mortgage I'd discovered was paid off. The emergency, that became a deck renovation. The transmission that turned into a vacation to Miami. Dr. Potts's voice whispered caution. But louder was the voice that said, they made this public. Now let the public see everything. My finger hovered over the post button. Would I become the villain they claimed I was? Or was I just finally telling the truth? I thought about Easter. About my empty seat. About being unwelcome. I pressed post. The post went viral within my family's social circles within hours. My phone exploded with new notifications, but the tone had shifted dramatically. Cousin Jayla. Wait, $5,000 a month? For 3 years? Uncle Terrence. Beverly, you might want to delete your post, sis. Mom's church friend Sister Patricia. Lord have mercy. I had no idea. I'd kept it simple. Just the facts with screenshots, no emotional manipulation. I wrote, family called me ungrateful for stopping financial support. Here's context they didn't mention. I love my parents, but I also love myself enough to stop enabling. The comments section became a war zone. Half my relatives backpedaled furiously. The other half doubled down, calling me petty for airing family business. Aunt Beverly deleted her original post. Too late, 20 people had already screenshotted it. My office phone rang. Kiara, how could you embarrass us like this? Not we're sorry. Not we should have told you the truth. Just anger at being exposed. You weren't embarrassed when Aunt Beverly called me ungrateful publicly, I replied calmly. That's different. She was defending us. With lies, Mom. You told Edwin you were behind on a mortgage that doesn't exist. We never said. That was a misunderstanding. Was the deck renovation for the Easter party I'm banned from also a misunderstanding? Silence. Then quieter. You're still our daughter. Am I? Because daughters usually get Easter dinner invitations. Edwin's kids are not the reason you uninvited me. Stop lying. I heard Dad's voice in the background, agitated. Mom covered the phone, but I caught fragments. Told you this would happen. Too far. Should have just invited her. She came back. Your father wants to talk. I'm at work. Tell him what I've been telling everyone. I'm done being an ATM that apologizes for having boundaries. I hung up, hands steady, heart clearer than it had been in years. Jasmine appeared in my doorway. Everything okay, Ms. Washington? Getting there. That evening I found an unexpected message waiting. From Edwin's ex-wife, Shanice. Girl, can we talk? Coffee. We'd never been close. She'd been collateral damage in Edwin's chaos. Someone I'd helped financially but never really knew. I agreed to meet her Wednesday evening at a cafe near her apartment in Lithonia. She looked tired when she arrived, 2 kids in tow, 6-year-old Imani and 4-year-old Caleb. Both ran to hug me immediately. Auntie Key. Imani squealed. Daddy said you're being mean to Grandma and Grandpa. My chest tightened, but Shanice cut in sharply. Imani, what did I say about grown folks' business? Sorry, Mama. Once the kids were settled with tablets, Shanice leaned forward. I saw your post. I need to tell you something. Okay. Edwin hasn't paid child support in 7 months. Every time I ask, he says he gave money to your parents to give to me. She pulled out her phone, showing texts. Look. I scrolled through messages. Edwin claimed he'd given my parents $3,000 for Shanice and the kids in December. $2,000 in January. $1,500 in February. Let me guess, I said slowly. You never saw a dime. Not one penny. I've been working doubles at the hospital, barely making rent. Her voice cracked. Your parents kept telling me Edwin was going through a tough time, and they'd help us soon. I thought they were broke too. But if you've been sending $5,000 a month. The full picture crystallized. My money, meant for family emergencies, had been funding my parents' lifestyle while Shanice struggled and Edwin dodged his responsibilities. And they'd all let it happen. How much total? I asked. According to these texts, over $18,000 he claimed he gave them for us. I pulled up my banking history. December through February. 3 months where my parents had requested extra beyond the $5,000 monthly. Unexpected expenses, they'd called it. Shanice saw my face. What? They asked me for additional money those exact months. Said Edwin was helping but came up short. We sat in silence, watching her children color on their tablets, innocent to the betrayal swirling around them. Shanice and I started comparing notes like detectives piecing together a crime scene. She showed me text after text where Edwin used my parents as middlemen for his supposed child support payments. Edwin to Shanice, December 15th. Gave Mom $3,000 for you and the kids. She'll bring it by. Shanice to Mom, December 18th. Edwin said he gave you money for us? Mom to Shanice. Oh honey, he gave us some, but it wasn't quite enough to cover everything. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. They were gatekeeping money that was supposed to be mine, Shanice said, voice shaking. Making me feel like I should be grateful for scraps. While telling me they needed more because Edwin wasn't contributing enough, I added. The con was elegant in its simplicity. They'd positioned themselves as struggling intermediaries while pocketing money from both sides. Edwin got to dodge his responsibilities, my parents got to play victims, and Shanice and I were cast as the ungrateful ones. There's more, Shanice said hesitantly. Your Aunt Beverly? She's been talking to Edwin. They're planning something for Easter. What kind of something? An intervention. They want to corner you, have the whole family there. Make you apologize and reinstate the money. She showed me screenshots from a conversation Edwin had carelessly left open on his iPad that Imani had borrowed. Beverly called it bringing the prodigal daughter home. I laughed, the sound harsh. The prodigal daughter? She stole from her father and repented. I'm the father who got robbed. Edwin is telling everyone you're having a breakdown. That the stress of your job made you snap. Shanice met my eyes. I know it's not my business, but if you're going to that Easter dinner. I'm not invited, remember? Go please. They uninvited you because they knew you'd say no. This way they look like victims when you don't show. She leaned back. It's a setup. Everything is. My phone buzzed. Dad, we need to talk about Easter. Please, baby girl. Let's fix this as a family. I showed Shanice the text. There it is, she said. The trap is set. I took the next day off work, something I never did, and made appointments. First stop. My attorney, Derek Mahoney, who specialized in family law. You want to sue your parents? He asked, eyebrows raised. No. I want documentation. Every text, every request, every promise to pay me back. Legally certified and time-stamped. Planning something? Insurance policy. Next, I met with my financial advisor, Patricia Brooks. He pulled my statements going back 5 years. You've sent approximately $237,000 to various family members, she said, glasses perched on her nose. Your portfolio would be worth an additional $300,000 if invested instead. $500,000, I whispered. Opportunity cost. The money you gave plus the growth you lost. She leaned forward. Kiera, you're 32. At your current savings rate minus these transfers, you'd retire at 48. With them, you're working until 63. 15 years of my life. That's what my family obligation cost. That evening, I sat with Shayla and Shanice at my apartment. We'd formed an unlikely alliance. The sister, the ex-wife, and the best friend. So what's the play? Shayla asked, pouring wine. Easter dinner, I said. I'm going. Girl, I thought you said. They expect me to either hide in shame or show up begging forgiveness. I'm doing neither. I pulled out my laptop. I'm going to accept being welcomed back. Let them think they've won. Shanice grinned. And then I show them exactly what they've won. I opened a folder on my desktop. 3 years of documentation. Every lie, every manipulation, every dollar. All organized chronologically with dates, amounts, and purposes. This is nuclear, Shayla breathed. They made it nuclear when they tried to gaslight me in front of the entire family. What do you need from me? Shanice asked. Your receipts. Every time Edwin claimed he paid through my parents. Every time you asked and got excuses. Done. We worked until midnight building a case that would make prosecutors jealous. Not for court, for truth. Easter Sunday arrived warm and bright. I dressed carefully. A sundress Mom had once said made me look too citified, paired with the Tiffany necklace I'd bought myself for my last promotion. Wore paint for a different kind of battle. I texted Mom, I've thought about it. You're right. Family is family. I'll be there. What time? Her response came immediately. Oh baby. 2 p.m. I'm so glad. Love you. No acknowledgement of the hurt. No apology. Just relief that the ATM was back online. I arrived at 2:15, arms empty of the contribution I usually brought. The driveway was packed. Uncle Terrence's Escalade, Aunt Beverly's BMW, Cousin Tasha's minivan. The whole family gathered for the reconciliation. Edwin opened the door, surprise flickering across his face before settling into smugness. Well, look who decided to show up. Edwin. I kept my voice light. Good to see you. Inside, conversation stopped mid-sentence. 23 family members frozen in tableaus staring at my entrance. Mom rushed over, arms extended. Kiera. Oh, I knew you'd come to your senses. Family is important, I agreed, accepting her hug while noting her new outfit. Tags still visible on the sleeve. Nordstrom. About $300 worth. Dad appeared, looking uncomfortable. Baby girl. We're glad you're here. Are you? I smiled sweetly. Or are you glad the money's coming back? The room went silent again. Aunt Beverly stood, wine glass in hand. Kiera, honey, we gathered here today hoping to help you understand. Understand what? How family works. I set my purse on the coffee table, the new coffee table I'd apparently funded. Please enlighten me. This wasn't in their script. I was supposed to be repentant, not challenging. Edwin stepped forward. Key, we all know you've been under stress. Sit down, Edwin. My voice cracked like a whip. All of you. Sit down. To my surprise, they did. Let me tell you about family, I began, pulling out my phone. And let me tell you the truth. I stood in the center of my parents' living room, my money's living room, and began laying out printed bank statements like a card dealer revealing a royal flush. January 2022 through March 2025. 39 months. $183,000 transferred to mom and dad's account. I placed each statement on the coffee table. Labeled, loans. Not a single dollar repaid. Kiera, this isn't the time, Dad started. There's more. $18,000 that Edwin claimed he gave you for Shanice and the kids. I nodded to Shanice standing in the doorway. Money she never received. Money I then sent you as extra, because you said Edwin came up short. Edwin's face went ashen. The mortgage you said you were behind on? Paid off in 2019. County records, public information. I placed the printout down. The transmission? Mom's Facebook check-in at a Miami resort the next week. The furnace emergency? Home Depot receipt shows patio furniture, not HVAC equipment. Aunt Beverly tried to speak, but I raised my hand. You want to talk about family? Real family doesn't lie. Doesn't steal. Doesn't manipulate. My voice stayed calm, each word deliberate. Real family doesn't uninvite their daughter from Easter while spending her money on the party. We were going to pay you back. Mom's voice broke. When, Mom? When I'm 60. When I've sacrificed my entire future for your comfort. I looked around the room. I gave you 15 years of my life. $500,000 in money and opportunity cost. What did I get? Treated like an inconvenience when I wasn't actively being your bank. Uncle Terrence stood. Now wait a minute. Sit down, Uncle T. You wanted this intervention? Here it is. You all stood by while they lied about me publicly. Called me ungrateful. Selfish. All while I'd been bleeding myself dry for years. I picked up my purse. So here's what happens now. The money stops. Permanently. The loans? Consider them a very expensive lesson in boundaries. You can't, Edwin started. I already did. 2 weeks ago. How's that deck renovation going, Dad? The one for today's party. Dad looked at the floor. I'm done being your safety net while you cut holes in it. I walked toward the door, then turned. I love you all. But I love myself more now. Therapy helped with that. Where are you going? Mom's voice was small. Turks and Caicos. Flight leaves in 4 hours. I smiled genuinely for the first time that day. Happy Easter, everyone. The ham smells great. I walked out to sunshine and freedom, Shanice following. Behind me I heard crying, arguing, chaos. The sound of consequences finally arriving. In my car I checked my phone. Shayla had texted, flight confirmation for 3. See you at the airport, sis. I drove away from my childhood home toward my actual life. The one I'd built. The one I deserved. Family is important. But sometimes the family you choose, the one that chooses you back, matters more than the one you were born into. As Atlanta's skyline appeared in my rearview mirror, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Not peace. Not yet. But possibility. And that was enough.